Hello, amazing humans. Welcome to the first video for gentle chair moves for back pain relief. I can't wait to get started with you and hear about all of the amazing changes that are going to happen. We'll be exploring gentle brain-based exercises that help your back and your whole body by teaching your brain new options for moving. Remember, we're working smarter, not harder. Now, these aren't exercises to push harder through. They're movements to explore slowly and with curiosity so your brain can rewire old painful movement patterns and create pain-free new ones. So let's get started. All you need is a chair to sit on. I have an IKEA stool, but you can use any chair you want. Kitchen chairs work just fine. Just make sure that your feet can touch the floor comfortably and that you're scooched to the front of your chair so your back can move freely, so you're not resting against the backrest if you have one on your chair. In this first movement, we're going to explore the movement of the pelvis and how that can influence and wake up the rest of your spine, your entire spine, each individual vertebrae, all the way up to the head. So your pelvis and head are connected through your spine, and your brain can use the information it gets from the movement of the pelvis and the movement of the head to wake up your entire spine. So let's start with a reference movement, feet comfortable distance apart, hands just resting on the thighs wherever it's comfortable, and slowly take a look down towards the floor in between your feet and stop where it's comfortable and just see, where do you naturally end? Where is it the most comfortable? Don't push past where it's comfortable. Remember, your brain doesn't learn new movement patterns when it's in pain. So we're going to begin by figuring out, where are we starting from? Where's our starting point? So find the most comfortable point on the floor that's the easiest for you to look at, and then slowly bring your gaze up towards the ceiling and just stop wherever it's comfortable. And you can do it a few times and just make a mental note of where it's the most comfortable place to look on the floor and where it's the most comfortable place for you to see up towards the ceiling. And then pause. Now, this is where we're going to grab your brain's attention to what the movement of your pelvis is doing and hopefully create a new movement. We're going to give your brain new information about how your pelvis moves that's going to influence how your back moves. So you don't need a ball for this. This is just for a visual. I want you to imagine that your pelvis is like a ball. However you're sitting on the chair, imagine that your pelvis can roll backwards like a ball and roll forwards like a ball. So give that a try a few times of simply rolling your pelvis backwards to put more pressure onto your tailbone and rolling your pelvis forwards like a ball to stick your tailbone out behind you. So you're rolling backwards, tucking your tailbone in, and rolling forwards, sticking your tailbone out behind you. And just do that movement nice and slow, so your brain has the opportunity to feel something new, to take in the new information of rolling the pelvis. Now I'm going to get rid of the ball, and if it's helpful for you, you can actually place your fingers on your hip bones. So find your hip bones and do a few of the movements of rolling your pelvis back, tucking your tailbone underneath you, and then rolling your pelvis forward to stick your tailbone out. And that might give your brain extra information of where your pelvis is in space and how it can actually roll on the chair beneath you. So keep rolling that pelvis nice and slow. This isn't a race. It's not the faster or further that matters. It's all about the quality of information that you're giving your brain. The new information about how your pelvis might be able to move is going to help your brain reorganize those old patterns. And as you're gently rolling your pelvis forward and back, take a notice of what's happening with your spine and your head. So you might notice as you're rolling your pelvis backwards to put more pressure onto your tailbone, your head naturally comes forward and your spine curves. And then as you roll your pelvis forward, sticking your tailbone out behind you, you might notice that your back arches and your head starts to look a little bit upwards. So rolling the pelvis back, notice what your head and your spine are doing, and then rolling your pelvis forward. Notice if your back is arching a little bit and maybe your head is looking up. And now I'm going to keep that movement going of rolling the pelvis back and rolling the pelvis forward. I'm just going to move my hands because I don't actually find that very comfortable for myself. So I'm going to take care of myself and move my hands to my thighs, but you do whatever works best for you. You keep it comfortable. You're in charge of your own body and your own comfort. And brains learn best when they're comfortable. So continue to roll the pelvis forward and then slowly roll the pelvis backwards. But this time start to add an intentionally looking down as you're rolling backwards towards the floor. So as my pelvis goes back, my head is intentionally looking down. And as you roll your pelvis backwards, sticking your tailbone out behind you, intentionally take a look up at the ceiling. Keep this movement slow and comfortable. So your brain has a chance to feel this new information you're exploring. Feel how much of your spine is participating in the movement. So can you feel your lower spine arching and moving with this movement as you're rolling your pelvis forward, slowly looking up, and as you're rolling your pelvis backwards, looking down. That's amazing, and you can just pause, give yourself a break. These movements are so slow and gentle, but because your brain is intentionally paying attention to these unique movements, it can actually be really tiring. So make sure you're pausing and taking a break whenever you need to, and you can always come back and join in when you're ready. All right, so this is when things get fun and interesting. We're gonna add in some unique variations to wake that spine up. For this one, take both of your hands and place them over your ears and your elbows pointing forward. So your elbows aren't pointing outwards, but your elbows are pointing forward. And do the same movement that you've been doing of rolling the pelvis backward, putting more pressure onto your tailbone, and notice where your elbows want to go. They're probably going downwards somewhere towards your knees, and stop where it's comfortable, and then roll your pelvis forward to stick your tailbone out behind you. Feel your back arching a little bit and your elbows starting to point upwards towards the wall or maybe even the ceiling. Keep it comfortable. Go slow and small. So rolling the pelvis backwards, putting more pressure onto the tailbone, the elbows drop down. And then rolling the pelvis forward to stick the tailbone out and the elbows come upwards. And you might feel your middle back arching a little bit deeper, a little bit further than it was going before. This position here is a great one to wake up the lower middle back. So continue to roll backwards and forward with your pelvis. And as you're going forward, bring your elbows up to the ceiling, keeping it comfortable. And as you roll your pelvis back, bring your elbows downwards towards your hip bones or your knees. And keep going, exploring the way this movement feels for you. What do you feel in your back, your upper spine, your middle spine, your lower spine? Where do you feel movement? Where do you not feel movement? Are you looking further than before or less further than before? What new information is your brain taking in about how your body moves together? And that's wonderful. You can just let it go and just rest in a position that's comfortable for you. Notice any changes in how you're sitting now, where your shoulders are, how your spine feels, the rhythm of your breathing. Now let's go back to the very original movement of simply taking a look down between your feet and then slowly taking a look up towards the sky. And as you're doing this movement, slowly looking upwards and then downwards, notice how much more of your spine is moving. Do you feel the rolling of your pelvis? Do you feel movement in your lower spine, arching as you look up and rounding as you look down? Is there more movement in your middle spine, in your upper spine, your neck? Is the movement more comfortable? Can you see upwards and downwards a little bit further with a little bit more comfort and ease? And if you did notice a difference, congratulations, you just experienced brain plasticity. You were able to give your brain quality information to help it rewire old movement patterns. Your brain discovered a new way to move that gives you greater range of motion with less pain. So in the next chair moves, we'll explore the next movement that your spine is able to do, the twisting of the spine, which is the second key to unlocking freedom in your back. So until then, keep moving smarter, not harder.